This poem is called Mór. It's from a narrative sequence set during the famine years, 1845 to 1849. And it follows, the book follows the vicissitudes, really, mostly vicissitudes of a family through the historical events of that period. At this point in the narrative, it's February 1846, and there has been a flu epidemic, but the famine proper hasn't started yet. In 1845, there was a crop failure, but it wasn't until 1847 that the intensity of the problem really became, that it became intense. Mór is an earth goddess of Munster, and her name, as most people will know, means big, but it also means phantom. I've given her the voice in this poem because I wanted an overview, and I also wanted the fact of the soil. So in a sense, she's the ground speaking, but she would have been the earth goddess that a new king would have to marry in order to take over the territory. Something that you need to know about Mór to understand certain references, or one reference at least in this poem, is that there's a folk story about Mór, which is kind of interesting. The folk story reduces Mór to a mortal woman, but she has goddess properties. So the story goes, and this is in County Kerry, that Mór created all the rivers in Kerry by urinating on the top of Man Cassock. And I think what's concealed here is a very interesting motif that occurs in Irish mythology, and that is the goddess having this tremendous, as Brendan Kennelly once said, piss out of her. But actually, I think it's about sexuality. I think it possibly may be about, vaginal secretion rather than urination. And that's a theory I'm not going to argue right now, but I think that may be an issue that would indicate that she was fertile. So it's about fertility. It's very basically, I suppose, about fertility. But Mór here is commenting on everything she's seeing. Mór, February 1846. Humans are small things that think themselves big. What I am is spirit matter, pulsing out in heaves and swirls, rising from the shifting points of earth, all points thinking they're the center, sending out their waves. Some lose themselves in the flux out there. Some go spinning out so far and no more, shocked back with a slap to their familiar space. Come down to worms who channel drains that dizzy out their eyes. Come down to armies in the grass. It breeds, you know. You know it breeds, Rosa Gorman. You know it breeds, Rena, when you lie there and Tig beside you because your hair starts to walk. You call me, Rena, every day. You ask me to make you fly. But your heart is a cage with 4 mud walls and a drafty roof. I could show you the soul of a rabbit, the soul of every pore in the skin beneath its fur, the soul of every quiver in every pore. I could trace the track of every quiver's soul right into the scattering beginning. Everything moves away all the time. Did you know that, Rena? It's not your father's tortured mind or your own unfocusing eyes make it look like that. All other matter moves away. Your world is not the world. It's changing. I don't care. The prayers are rising and fall. I pick them off the leaves. I eat them when my nostrils flare. They fly through me to burn vaguely in some other no place. I see them all right. I see the masters and their petty hierarchies. Voices from heaven, they imagine. More wisdom in the eyes of a red setter than in yours, Alexander Dallas. Those English nobles eat well, like the cat that caught the bird. Silver napkin holders and hard-worked lace, and talk over dinner about who's starving and who's not, and let's make the Irish change. They create commissions and gather what they call intelligence in every portion of their kingdom. But I'm still listening to the moans of Killarty and desperate clawings in the west. Providence and the Earl of Devon make me laugh, as if I cared who lived or died or who improved their pockets. It all gets stewed in the big out there. Smith O'Brien may build a road and talk about repeal. Nothing makes a sensible screed unless you're low enough to see the sky. Come down. I'll show you the soul of a butterfly, growing in disguise while the weather beats upon its head. I'll show you the deaths of 1,000 butterflies and the casual deaths of humans sown and blighted in the billion acres of my world. I come to take away the dead, and I don't deal in grieving or regret. But I know some souls will live in me like eyes, and others pull like parasites against the spin. You who look for God in books and think some theory of destruction brings you power. You who think that God is a poor man's friend, come down. I'll show you the soil, full of souls you can't convert. Then when I spread my legs and go, you'll feel their prayers come streaming out, rushing rivers through your breaking box of time.